All right, good morning, everyone. This is Jennifer Sanchez. You are live with us right now. We are on the Wise Morning Coffee Chat show. Super excited this morning. I'm up, I'm alert. Last week I was a little like down, but I'm up and alert. I'm ready to go at it. So, this show is all about inspiration, conversation, motivation. It's going to be just me and Maria today, just kind of having these great empowerment conversations. And we hope that you guys get inspired and just have an amazing week. So that's who I am. And Maria, let them know who you are.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Paloma. I am a full-time classroom teacher, so I am technically on summer vacation, but Jennifer has me working this morning. I'm just kidding. I love being here. I just love that I have the opportunity to be here, in the month of June now that I'm out of school. I am still working a little bit in the building this week, so that's fun. But I'm also a mom. I have three children, I have a husband, and I'm looking forward to the summer. Yeah.
Nice. Have you seen that meme? I don't know if it's a TikTok, but where like it's like run and all the teachers start run. Someone shared it in our community and all the
Yes,
teachers start running out the building.
yes.
Is that how it is in your school also?
Kind of. Yes. Yeah, some
Like
of us that are like, oh, I gotta put this away and I gotta wipe this down. And then all of a sudden you look in the hallways like, where's everybody? You look in the parking lot like, there's only three cars left. Oh, I guess it's end of school. Everybody's gone.
people, so is there now I'm curious. So do teachers really like clean up? You have to clean up your room and get all your stuff out and for the next teacher, or how's that work?
No, we basically stay in the same room. At least in my district, I think it's like that. It's probably like that in most districts. The maintenance guys usually take the opportunity to really scrub down the carpets. Like we have carpeting in our classrooms, and then the hallways are ceramic or tile or something that's easy to wash down. And I've been in schools that are the opposite, where there's carpeting
Oh,
in the hallways, and then the classrooms are not carpeted. So it depends on your building, I
oh,
think. But in our building, they take that opportunity. They do wash the carpets down. They clean everything. They clean our desks because the kids are kids. They're not very clean.
well, sure. If I'm
And then
sure I know.
as you can imagine, like your kitchen table, you sit down to have one meal and you have to wipe it down. So same thing with the kids, they write on it, they put their stickers on there. So the guys really take time to really wipe all like we put our names, the kids' names on there, so there's sticky stuff on there. And so when you come in the fall, everything is really super duper clean. The
Nice.
plan this year was to paint our lockers in the
Oh,
hallways because we have like a set of orange lockers and yellow lockers and red lockers. So finally, they're like, you know what, we're gonna paint them all blue. So we use them to store things over the summer and even throughout the year. So of
oh,
course, all of us were like, ay, yeah, yeah. Now we have to empty all the lockers.
oh
That was yeah.
no.
But
I
yeah, at least in our building, we do that every year. Yeah.
Nice. I can imagine because, even like my baby, well, she's 1.5 now, had a popsicle and she was like using it, putting it on her hand and just like art on the walls. Like she was just putting her hands everywhere. I'm
Yeah.
like, but on purpose. I was like, oh my. I can only imagine when you have an army of children in a building how that
Yeah.
looks.
Yeah, and this year we were, I mean, year to year, I'm always like, wipe your table down, wash your hands when you come in from recess. I was always kind of like that, had that protocol in my classroom, but this
Mm.
year it was like hyped up, if you can imagine. So everybody that came into the classroom had to go to the sink first, wash their hands. Then
Mm.
at the end of the day, we wiped everything down. So it was a little bit different this morning. It was like really heightened in terms of keeping things clean. But it was also good to feel like you come in the morning and everything is clean. So there was that benefit to that. So and
Mm.
like it too. And then I was like, because I don't know about anybody else here, but even my own kids, you have to teach them to wash their hands because it's like grab soap under the water. Like, no, you're washing the soap away. So I was like that army
Yep.
sergeant, like I want to see the bubbles working. We'd sit there and sing happy birthday, so
Yeah, oh yeah. I would do ABCs with the girls. Like, no, sing your ABCs.
yeah.
Yep. I know what you're talking about. We have Mary on with us. She
Good
said,
morning,
"Good
Mary.
morning." So excited that you're on with us, and anyone else is on, feel free to say good morning. But this is going to be a very good show. We have some great topics we're going to be talking about, and you guys can all be part of the conversation. So let's go into our whole point of this show. Coffee time. um it's actually great. I was just, Maria, I know you would love this. I'm reading, with me being in school, I'm reading like 3 books a dang week. Like, it's intense, right, trying to
Mhm.
knock out these books. But one of the books was just talking about how, and since we're going to be talking about listening, how the author would use coffee time, like opportunities to go drink coffee with someone,
Nice.
to knock out their, to kind of get their thoughts processed. So I'll share that with you. But I thought, oh my God, I'm going to share this on the air tomorrow,
Brilliant.
because we're all about coffee, we're all about conversation, and how we can use this to help us with our listening skills. So
Wonderful.
um what are you drinking, Maria?
Well, I'm drinking my usual, Kirkland coffee from Costco, but I wanted to show off my new cup. I hope you can see it. It says,
Your mama so woke.
woke.
Nice.
Yes. Oops, let me
Nice. It's
there it is.
cute.
And I won this in a raffle because I went to Eventbrite and I found an event, these Latina authors, and as a teacher and also part of my dual language advisory committee, parent advisory committee, we're always looking to see what kinds of programming we can bring to our parents. So one idea was to bring authors. So I happened upon this Eventbrite thing a couple months ago, and there were these Latina author and illustrators. So I bought their book. This is her newest book. It's a hardcover book. The title is Your Mama. The author is Nonieka Ramos, and the illustrator is Jacqueline Alcantara. And Jacqueline lives here in Pilsen. So I just thought,
Mm.
man, that's a connection right there. So I reached out to them and I said, would you guys be interested in coming to my district this fall? Of course, they were like, yes, we would. So we're in contact right now. I've been, conversing with them live on Zoom. But we're going to get to meet them. They're coming in. Nonieka lives in Pennsylvania, I believe. But, the story here is really, how proud this little girl is of her mom. And she integrates some Spanish words in there. So it's kind of like a Spanglish, book, but I love the message. And so I thought, man, I'm going to share this in the community and see, as an educator, I'm really, really urging you, if you have young children, and even if you have teenagers, please keep them reading over the summer. So important, take them to the library. Most libraries have a really great summer program. They give them incentives like stickers or little, um, gifts and things like that. But even just that, the children developing this intrinsic love for reading, and then following an author, like this is something she also has, like books for young adults, more like middle school kids. um so really following an author, and then when they are local, like you can even touch base with them and reach out to them and connect with them. I just think that that is such an awesome thing. And now that we are totally connected all over the world through Zoom, email,
Yeah,
I really urge you guys as parents to encourage your children to think of it that way, not just, oh, it's a book I have to read, but why? If you guys, maybe I can share the YouTube
of course.
because she reads the book, and then the illustrator goes into how she came up with the drawings, and it's a whole amazing process that I think really truly would be interesting for children, especially if they're thinking about going into the arts or anything like that. So I highly encourage you guys.
Nice. And as you guys are jumping on, I see a lot of people jumping on. Feel free to share what kind of coffee you're drinking with us, or what drink you're having this morning, so we can, engage with you guys. Cause but I think, Maria, I love the fact, oops, I apologize. I love the fact that you bring up this topic about books, because I think it's critical. And I love the fact that they're Latinas. right?
Yes.
I don't
Mhm.
think there's enough Latina authors for children books, right? Like
Mhm.
that realm is like
Yes.
an interest, like I don't I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the children books I enjoy myself as a child or with my kids. But and if you guys are jumping on, even share what's your favorite children's book. I would love to hear that. Um, right now I'm thinking of Tiki Tiki Tambo no So Rambo. Do you know that one? I know that
Yes.
was a popular one when I was growing up, and I bought it just for my girls now.
Yes.
Um, Tiki Tiki Tambo. The whole point is his name was really long,
Yes.
and and his little brother fell in the well because
Yeah.
he couldn't get through to the dang names to tell the villagers, like, save my brother. His name's Tiki Tiki Tambo, no Sarambo.
Yes.
You know. So
So long. So that
um
oh, so that's funny that you say that because back in March we actually were given this giant list of authors that we could reach out to directly and see if they would come to our classroom. So we did a Zoom call with an author, and she did a
nice,
version of that. So I don't know if you're thinking of the same author. Of course, I can't think of her name right now, but she's a Latina. She's a former educator, retired, and now is writing books. And that was one of the books that she has, and she wrote and she read it to our class. And that was just another thing that bringing somebody who does the thing, does the writing, putting it together. So she talked about that process with my kids too. And so this is what I
nice.
say: authors are very approachable. They want to read. This is their love, their passion. They want to do this for the community. So reach out to your teachers and see if they could connect with some authors and just bring them. Like I said, now everybody is zooming, so it's super easy to come into the classroom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Let me say good morning to some of the ladies. I don't think we'll ever leave the Zoom platform. I think now,
Yes,
post
exactly.
COVID, too many of
Yeah,
us got too comfortable with the virtual stuff.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I agree.
We have Maribel Enriquez. Good morning,
Morning, Margaret.
Maribel.
Good to
We
see
have
you.
Ruby Garcia. Good morning. Happy Monday.
We got Jackie, Jamila.
Yeah, Yamile, good morning. Just got in. We have Nara. She said, I didn't know you were a Pilsen gal. Love that area.
Thank you.
Um,
Love
J-
Pilsen.
Pilsen is awesome. Jamila said,
Mhm.
I'm planning to take the kids to the library today with
Yay!
the kids. That's awesome. Green tea Maribel's drinking. Yum. Gemini said, I just got up. No coffee yet. Oh, gotta get that coffee. Jackie said, good morning. Hey Jackie, how are you?
Yeah,
Nice to see you here. Latina power. Boom, boom,
right.
boom.
Yes, that's right.
Special effects. I got the special effects in. I'm planning to take the kids to the library today. Mary said, I have that book for Hayden to have something of her Chinese heritage.
Oh,
Yeah,
of course. Yes. So
that
important. Yes.
that is. And that's why it's so critical, I think, for us Latinas to have Latina authors so we can share with our children.
Yeah.
Nara said, have been getting all my faves in Spanish for Gabriela. So far my fave for her is I love you to the moon and back, but in
Oh,
Spanish. Don't know how to spell it. I'm sure someone will Google it and put it up here.
love that.
I love The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. I have that one too. That is such a sad book.
Yeah.
The Giving Tree. It's not sad. It's good awareness on how about nature and the environment, how we take advantage. I think. I don't know how you interpret that one. They're a bilingual kids book called It's Bedtime Kukui. That's my boys enjoyed. I need to look at that one, El Kukui. That was always scary to me. I hate it. Or El Chucho, how they used to say in Mexico. Oh man. Angel said, good morning, ladies. Maribel said, praise God. I don't know. What are these? High fives, praise God. Jamila said we should create a PDF of everyone's favorite. I love that
Oh,
idea.
great
Favorite
idea.
kids
Yes.
book. I love that. Oh man, show her the monkey song. My son loved it. Yeah, these are all great ideas. I think
Mhm.
children's books are awesome, and it's all to teach something, right? There's like a storyline and there's
Yeah.
something that the child should learn, and it's all I mean, you're not gonna like teach them something super elaborate, right? You gotta bring it to their language that they can understand. So, I love children's books. I love Llama Llama Red Pajama. Llama Llamas was Inez's favorite, book. Tiki Tiki Tambo was one of our favorites here, and The Giving Tree. Now that I think about it, that's a good one. Also, I have that I read to the girls. So
Mhm.
good
Yeah,
stuff here.
awesome.
Mary said, I interpret it as motherhood. Mothers always give until they can't. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I just kind of even thought of it as nature. The book was more about like, we take advantage of nature. Like we chop the tree up, and
Mhm.
then at the end it's like the tree's still there for us. We'll just sit on it and be old at
Yeah,
the end. Like you guys check out that book. I don't want to keep talking about it.
yeah.
Um
I think it's
so
also about gratitude and being grateful that it was there to give you, and somehow it will continue to give you. It will continue to give you whatever, whether it's comfort by
mhm.
just sitting on it, and you feel the comfort. So I kind of looked at it that way too.
That's a good way of seeing it.
Hmm.
And that's why we have a book club. That's why we enjoy books in our
Yeah,
membership because I think when we read, you have a way of interpreting it. And
yes.
then I see it through your eyes. And then
Hmm.
I have a way I interpreted it. And then you see it through my eyes. And then at the end, we realize, like, oh my God, I missed that
Yeah.
totally, right?
Hmm.
Um, so let's go into our topics. I know that Maria, you said tomorrow is National Take a Nature Picture Day. I think since we're let's, I thought that was cute. I know we have photographers in our community. What's it called?
Nature Photography Day. And I have a niece who loves to take photos. My daughter is great at that. And it just made me think that we have this, somewhere somebody celebrating this day. But it made me think, when we are out and about, maybe we can try disconnecting and paying more attention to that. You know, a nature my niece took a picture of this, just an old, it almost looked like it was a dying tree, but it was in the shape of a person. Like it had like some sort of part to it, and I titled it the tree pose. Because it really looked like somebody with their hands up in the air, and it was just so beautiful. She posted it in black and white in her Instagram. um but I just thought you can always find beauty in nature, whether whatever season it may be. It's a you know summer, spring, fall, or winter. There's so much beauty out there. And really being grateful for the seasons. A lot of people don't live in a four season city like we do, even though I sometimes say we go from summer to winter to summer to winter to summer to winter, because our spring and our fall are always so short.
Nutty. Yeah.
Yeah. But really just listen, pay attention, and look and see. You'll find beauty everywhere, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to the forest preserve, botanical garden. I know that me and you talked about having like a mother's a family, like kids and
Yeah.
children type event. Maybe now this is bringing up ideas. Maybe we should go to a trip to the library, like Gemma, let maybe take all the kids, or maybe go to
Mhm.
something with the park, like do a mother kids wise thing. I don't know. We're
Yeah.
still kind of coming up with the ideas, right? But
Yeah.
this is all good stuff. And then Mary suggested another book, Love You Forever book by Robert. I don't know. I'm going to butcher that last name, but you guys can read it.
Mhm. Okay.
Um, so this is good stuff. So that's tomorrow, and we always should go out. And I think at some point we're gonna miss. The weather's gonna change. We're gonna miss the seasons, and God knows what's gonna look like 10 to 15 years from now, right?
Yeah.
I know. But let's go into the Juneteenth topic. Maria, do you want to lead that conversation?
Sure, we were, bouncing some ideas around, and my son actually reminded me of it, because his work, they're actually giving them the day off on Friday for Juneteenth. They are actually celebrating at that
Wow.
level, where some employers are allowing their employees to go and spend, I don't know, spend time with their family or celebrate it in some way. But then I thought, do people really understand what it is? And at a very basic surface level, we know that it is the celebration of the freedom of the slaves back, after the Civil War. So it technically is the emancipation of the enslaved people. And so we thought, well, how do we, why do we want to talk about this? Well, number one, I thought awareness. I think that's a really heavy topic right now everywhere. And it is important for us to talk about it, as hard as it may be, as difficult and challenging a conversation this may be. We do live in a society that's divided, you know, um, just because of how we see things. Again, going back to how do you see things? When you meet someone, like, what are those biases that come to you? And it's not a good or bad thing. It's just how you were raised. Maybe your parents were a certain way, your family, your culture. So how do we change that thinking process of accepting each other as we are, right? And looking beyond how people look, because let's be honest, biases just happen because of how we see somebody.
Mm,
Oh, no, she's Latina, she's going to be a certain way. Oh, they're African American, they're going to be a certain way. Oh, well, he's Asian, so that's why he's like that. Like, can we stop? Just stop right there and just start accepting people as humans,
yeah, yeah.
as we are.
I mean, I'm pretty sure in the United States, there's even places that are so remote that they have never met someone of,
Mm-hmm.
a black or brown or a minority, right? So I mean, they only get the exposure that they see on TV or they hear in radio or they see in magazines. And that's the only interpretation that they have, which is why the whole book conversation is critical because, like, we need more black and brown exposure, right? The shows, the TV. I always talk about this. But one thing that I wanted to talk about Juneteenth is like, and I can bring it back, of course, it's, we celebrate, right? And when I say we, like Mexicans or Puerto Ricans or any other Latino culture, they're always celebrating their independence
Mm-hmm.
from the conquistador or whoever they were, whoever they were oppressed by.
Mm-hmm.
So and recently I just started hearing about Juneteenth, what, maybe 2 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
not even, maybe
Yeah,
2,
yeah.
with all this
Very
conversation of
recent.
everything very recent.
Yeah.
So I think good, like there should be celebrations around this. Like the reason why you see all the Puerto Rican flags out right now is because it's Puerto Rican independence, right? You go by Humboldt Park, you're
Mm-hmm.
out there for a minute. So you're gonna be there for a while. You are September 26th, or what days are there? My bad. September 16th,
Yes.
wrong day. You'll be stuck in Little Village because everyone's be with their flags out there, right? Or Fullerton or wherever you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Mhm.
So I think, yeah, this is a good thing. And even, I don't know if you guys knew, in Mexico, I shared this article last year, but there's an actual village in Mexico that celebrates Juneteenth. And I'll tell you what it's called. It's village is called Nacimiento. What was it called, Maria?
Um,
What it is village of Nacimiento is de los negros in, I'm gonna chop this name up because I know it's like a Aztec Mayan name. Coahuila.
Coahuila.
Coa,
Coahuila.
Coahuila. Okay. So basically when a slave woman went and she went to Mexico, she married a Mexican man. And around this time every year in that village, they have a celebration. um and then when you look back at the roots and the history, it's because of the freedom of slaves here in the US celebrated in Mexico. So I just thought that is so cool, like to even remind people, like a lot of slaves did go to Mexico, and because Mexico didn't participate in this slave thing, they were like, you guys are on your own to the US. They didn't like that stuff. So a lot of slaves were able to blend in and create families and start, take root in Mexico. So I thought this is a great thing to bring up and bring awareness around as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you brought it up, because we always hear of, them going north, right? We hear the stories, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, they helped the slaves move north. And I honestly, I never even thought about them going further south. Like, Mexico and into, I'm sure, even further into Mexico, South America. And that does not surprise me. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, because it just really makes sense. It makes sense that they would have done that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is a great time for celebration. I started seeing more events around it.
Mhm.
Like now I'm seeing like communities doing things on this day. So I don't know if anyone knows of any events happening, but definitely let us know. I've been tagged on a couple of things already, so I'm like, oh, cool. Like
Yeah.
this is cool. Social media is powerful to spread these type of messages. So I'm loving it.
Yeah. And I mean, the honest truth is that all of us who come from the Caribbean, South America, Central America, we have some of that, African American heritage in us because of that.
Yeah.
Because there was all that movement of people from the continent of Africa to these continents, North America, South America. And you can see it. You can see it, whether it's in the hair, the skin, just the features. It's just amazing to see that. So
Yeah, Afro-Latinas, right? That's why they
yes, yep.
call. Yeah, I see Nara. When we have Marilyn, she said, "Good morning, great conversation this morning." Then Nara said, "Hubby told me this before. Wonder if this is what he is speaking about." Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
absolutely. And then when you go more south in Mexico, they get a little darker. They're a little more bronzer, right?
yeah,
And it's because that's where the ports were.
right.
When they would do trading and stuff like that. So yeah, totally. Like you have a lot of Afro Latinas. We come in all shapes, sizes,
Yeah,
textures,
yeah,
looks. There's not one look to what a Latina looks like, At least I don't think so, right? We come in various shapes and colors. So I think we have a variety, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
you, you could
and
be
yeah,
go ahead, Maria.
and again, this is why we should embrace everybody. Just be open to that possibility, of just accepting everybody, accepting each other how we are, because we all come from that blended background. Whether we like it or not, some people are like, nope, I'm just
Yeah.
Mexican, or no, I'm just American. Now people who are born in the US, I'm American. Yeah, well, you know what that means? It's a melting pot, literally, so
Yeah, right. Yeah. This
mm,
is good conversation. So if you guys have any thoughts, opinions, share it in the chat. Let us know if you know of any events or you guys are celebrating or do you know about this? Let us know. Now let's go into our next topic, which I think was great because you brought this up during our was it a spa day? Our salt cave adventure.
yes, which was
Uh,
awesome.
so for those that are watching, uh, in our membership community, the local members, we have women from different areas there. We have women from Texas, Arizona, New Jersey, right? But for the local women that are in Chicago, once we grow in other areas, my hope is to see them gathering in their own chapters and having a community of women meeting for spa day and all that fun stuff, right? So we had in our local area, we all went to salt caves. It was a member only event. So if you're only a member, you got invited. And me and Maria were like in the salt. And we started talking. She started talking about Brene Brown's podcast. Um, and a lot of people know Brene Brown, but if you don't know, Maria, you can talk about Brene Brown because I know you like her and you've read a lot of her books.
Yeah, I've read a couple of her books. She's awesome motivator. Her, I guess, they say she's como se dice, coined the phrase, or rather the idea of vulnerability and how important it is. And she's also talks a lot about shame and things like that, and how important it is to face it and come out of that. But this particular podcast that I listened to, it's about trauma, resilience, and healing. And so she had Oprah and Dr. Bruce Perry on her call, and they wrote a book. I believe that Oprah and this gentleman wrote a book together, and they talk about trauma, resilience, and healing. And it's called "What Happened to You." So it's very interesting how they started the conversation. Where she's saying that a lot of times we see somebody is going through something, or they reacted to a situation, or they said something, and the first thing we say is like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you doing that?" And so that in and of itself kind of there's an intonation of like there's something wrong.
Judgment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and absolutely, so maybe turning the words, just changing the words very simply to what's happened to you, and why did you react that way, or what happened to you, versus
Mm,
with you, because all of us have experienced trauma at one level or another.
yeah.
Whether we mentioned, if we come from a broken family, maybe it's a divorce, or maybe a lot of arguing in the family as we are growing up, whether it's our parents or our family members, or just maybe even living in a certain community because of all the gun violence in Chicago. Like, my goodness, that's, even if you are not affected directly, where, someone has passed away because of gun violence, you still live in the area. Like,
Yeah.
that is huge trauma. So that's why I said that they look at it from different levels of trauma, because it's relative to your reality.
Yeah.
So it was I found it very, very interesting conversation in terms of how we can help each other. Whether
Abs-
we're just being more empathetic, more compassionate to what's happening to the people that we work with, the people that we interact with in the different communities, and just being careful to how we say things, and,
yeah.
what is the intention that we have behind what we are saying to them. And so just
Yeah.
changing the words a little bit could be a world of difference.
Yeah, when you said, when we were talking about this over the weekend, you mentioned, sometimes we do this to our kids. We don't
Mhm.
even realize it. Like,
Yes.
your kids, like, think about it. Like, my
Yeah.
daughter was putting freaking popsicles on the wall, just putting her little handprints, and I could have easily been like, "What's wrong with you?"
What's wrong with
Right?
you? Yes.
And even though as a parent, you might not realize that
Yes.
that comes in a very judging tone,
Yes.
where now the child is like, well, dang, what is wrong with
Yeah.
me, right? Like, what did I do? Right? They're being a kid. Like, I didn't do that. But
Yeah.
it has happened with even my older child, where you think like, what's wrong with you? What are you thinking,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
it's happened to the best of us.
Yeah.
But now creating this awareness, bringing this up, can help us kind of say, whoa, let me switch it around. Maybe if I present it a little differently,
Mhm.
even to my child, because one of the great things is, if you've gone 60%, the podcast says 60% of people have gone through trauma,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And let's say, even when you were saying, Maria, like the arguing, like,
Mhm.
people that are, the couple, a couple, like
Mhm.
COVID, I think they even talked about COVID, like a lot of marriages were struggling
Mhm.
through during this time, right? And you might, even if you have a small child, 0 to 2 months, 3 months infant, they are still absorbing and watching this, right?
Mhm.
And what's critical is the first year of life. It's a toddler age. That's when they're learning their attachments, right? Are they learning safety attachments? This is a little like different off topic what they were talking about, but like, do they have disorganized attachments? Are they having like normal attachments? Like, what is going on with the child? So depending on how you are as a parent in early stages of life, they're going to learn how to act. And is the world safe for me?
Oh.
Right? So if they're in like an abusive environment, or they're watching a lot of fighting, they might not be so trusting of the world. And that is trauma in itself, right? People don't realize, like, watching parents fight, it can be traumatic experiences for a
Mhm.
child.
Yeah.
So I thought, when you brought this up, and I said, okay, I'm gonna listen to the podcast, because I know Maria really loves this podcast. So let me listen to it. And I was listening to it, and I'm connecting the dots in my brain. And I thought, oh my God, this is like, now we understand why certain things, like something as simple as, shoot, my coffee didn't come out right, can be a trigger response. All of a sudden, you were wondering, why is this person crying over coffee? You didn't realize that they have had a serious background of trauma, and that one stressful situation blew everything, was enough to blow everything up. Not and to say this, it's like sometimes we don't realize that people have gone through some stuff. 60%, right? That's a lot.
Yeah. And that, you bring up COVID, and just that in and of itself, worldwide, we went through that trauma.
Yeah, that's
because it
traumatic.
was traumatic. Some of us, dealt with it in a good way, and some of us didn't. Some of us were like, oh, you know what, I'm home, I'm happy, I'm good here. And some of us were like, oh my goodness, I can't leave my home. I can't, I'm fearful of going here. So it just depends on how people reacted to the situation of being stuck at home. Like, maybe people
Yeah.
just saw it as a negative thing. And there was a lot of, I believe, and I think that they touched upon this too in the podcast, a lot of loneliness. And that can be very, very detrimental to people, feeling that loneliness, not being able to connect. Especially think about the elderly who are not tech savvy, or maybe don't even have internet in their home. They are not able to connect with friends and family as easily as maybe some of us were able to. Um, and then some of us, because of our work, we were constantly connected with people. But
Mm,
so they did talk about that. And then the other thing that they mentioned in Oprah, when you mentioned the high school in Africa, or the school in Africa, she, because of her trauma, she always was looking to do things for other people. And she,
mm,
that helped her through her trauma. So, and then she did make sure that the teachers were, prepared to handle certain situations. But then that led to the conversation of listening and being heard. And she says, in the book, she mentions how when she interviews people, and I mean, who she interviews. She interviews people like Beyonce, uh, Barack Obama, like big
high
heavyweight,
level.
right? Yeah. And she says, inevitably, after every interview, the first thing the person says is, how did I do? And
Mm-hmm.
that to me is that innately all of us want to know that we did a good job, that we have been heard, that, that there's this approval. So I was like, oh wow,
Mm,
that's huge. That was huge to me, that even someone like Barack Obama is asking Oprah, so what did you think? Did I do it?
mm,
And I totally agree with that, that we're always looking like, you know, even here we're talking, we're like, hey guys, what do you think about this? Let us know that we're doing a good job. So
yeah.
I think that's huge. And then you mentioned children. They're always, mommy, did I do good? Are you proud of me? They're always looking for that affirmation. So important to be aware of that, and really not overdo it, but really just, be honest and say, yeah, mommy's proud of you, and, I love you, and say it all the time, as often as possible, to let them know that they're there, and safe, in a safe environment.
Yeah, yeah, and the she even mentioned how when she opened up her school in Africa, she's
Hmm.
mainly helping young girls,
Hmm.
the whole trafficking or
Yeah.
um a lot of she said a lot of those girls came from trauma and she didn't understand. She had to teach all her staff. They were talking about the ACE test,
Hmm.
which is to identify if there's any traumatic background in their lives. Well, in that time, she was saying a lot of their parents were dying from HIV, which a
Hmm.
death in the family is traumatic,
Yeah.
right? It's a traumatic event. So she, and especially they were all young girls, so the whole purpose was that she was so focused on, I need to make sure that my teachers understand this so that they can provide great service to them in their
Hmm.
educational experience, because a lot of these girls are struggling, they have struggled, and let's help them. So and they were talking about the ACE test, which is a test that's put together to see if there's any trauma in your background, and it's like a 10 question. It's like 10 questions. Um, the doctor, what's his name, Perry
Bruce Perry, Dr.
Bruce
Bruce Perry.
Perry,
Uh-huh.
he liked it, but he was also like, there's more to the story. Like it's just like a black and white test to
Hmm.
know if there's trauma. And I've heard of this test before, because sometimes even in the coaching realm, the reality is you cannot coach someone when they haven't dealt with their traumas. You
Hmm.
need to seek therapy, right? Like
Oh
there
yes.
therapy is required
Yeah.
because sometimes you can't move from A to B
Mhm.
without resolving or going back and dealing with issues in the past that
Yeah.
you haven't dealt with.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I want go ahead, Maria. I want to share that.
Yeah, so even in my yoga practice, because I work with children and I'm trying to also help educators bring this type of practice and philosophy into the classroom, there is such a thing as trauma-informed yoga practice or trauma-informed mindfulness. And the most basic way to explain that is be very aware of what you are saying and how you are saying it, especially like you just said, there could be triggers there. And it's always coming from a place of empathy and compassion. Just realizing that you are dealing with humans that have dealt with very difficult situations, and you have no idea what they may be. I was mentioning that, if somebody, I feel I grew up in a very, stable environment, stable home. A little dysfunctional, of course, right? We're Mexican after all, but uh, but it was very stable. My parents were married, for whatever, almost 70 years, 70 years plus. Um, so for me to say, oh yeah, I know what you're going through because your parents were divorced. No, I can't say that. I know it's challenging. I know it's difficult, but I cannot put myself literally in your shoes. I can be empathetic and sit and listen. Basically, if you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do, then just listen. Because yes,
Mm,
you're not a therapist, you're not a psychologist, and please don't try to give advice on something you're not aware of or you have no clue. Please just listen. Sometimes that's what people just need, is somebody to just be there to say, I will try to understand you as much as possible. And sometimes that's all people need, is a shoulder,
a
to
shoulder.
yeah.
And this is a good segue into our next topic because one of the things as a coach and counselor, you need to be a good listener. And I think not enough people, this is a skill that anyone can take on, right? Like to be a great listener, it not only will help you career wise, but your marriage, your
Mhm. Yeah.
relationships, your whatever, right? Listening is powerful, but too many people might list. They think, well, listening means, like you said, Maria, I have to respond, I
Right.
have to give
Mhm.
advice,
Yeah.
right? No, that's like opposite of what listening is.
Yes, yes, yes.
You don't give advice, right? You don't try to agree or even disagree.
Yes, yeah.
Your goal when it's listening is literally to listen and just
Mhm.
shut it. Like there's actual techniques that
Mhm.
I'm learning to like
Mhm.
shut up, Jennifer. Don't say nothing. Like bite your tongue, right? Like literally bite your tongue is like the book is telling you, like, because you want your heart, you as
Mhm.
a person, you, Maria, I know you're like a loving person, you want to help people. It's a natural response to like want to save someone.
Yeah.
But one of these things I'm learning is like who owns the problem, right?
Mhm.
Like who is the one that's why I want to talk about the coffee, because the author that I'm reading, and I'm so terrible at knowing who the heck the authors are. I should know the author, right? I don't but I don't. Um the book was saying like sometimes this author, when he's dealing with an issue, he needs just someone to listen. So he identifies people that he has trained on the art of listening to listen to him. So he'll say, hey, come meet me at the shop. I need someone to listen to me. They sit down, right? And the goal of the listener is literally just to say, ooh, ah, oh, that must have been hard. Tell me more. And that helps the person, the talker that owns the problem, to kind of figure out in their own mind how to solve it,
Mhm.
right? That's really sometimes what people just need. They need someone to
Yeah.
sit there, ooh ah them all day, bite their tongue, don't give advice, don't, it's not your problem. You don't own the problem, because the moment you start talking, you're taking ownership of their problem. You're
Mhm.
not allowing that person to find their own solution. You're trying to give them a solution. So
Sense.
I thought this is great because too many of us, how many times you try to talk to someone and I'll be honest, sometimes I just need people to listen to me because I just need to voice this, figure it out in my own brain. Sometimes I don't want advice. And
Mm-hmm.
many of these you probably can relate and you can relate too. You just let me speak. Stop talking back. Right? So I thought, how much this is an important topic. Like, let's talk about this. You can ask clarifying questions, right? Like, well, what do you mean? Explain this a little bit more. What is going on, right? But not like to try to clarify for them, right? But the biggest thing is just to listen. And
Mm-hmm.
and 2/3 of people that go to counseling, they just want to be listened to.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
They're paying someone to listen to them,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily dealing with trauma or like really going back and trying to take care of issues. They just need to be listened and heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that with you guys because I thought this would be really powerful for
Yeah.
the community and anyone that, all of us really.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And again, going back to the training that I got through the yoga, through it, the program is called Breathe for Change, and it is for educators. And one of the things that we had to do was they partnered us up with somebody. So it was just you and one other person. And we were in one of the CPS schools, like off of, I forget what the name of the school was, but we walked around the campus. They just said, you have, I think they gave us 30 minutes or something like that. We each had 15 minutes. And they said, you're just going to talk, um, stream of consciousness talk, and the other person is just going to listen. And opposite to what you're saying, we were not allowed to respond. We were not even allowed to like, mm-hmm,
Mm,
we were not even allowed to react that way. It was just listening. And let me tell you, that was hard. That was hard because you want to be like, oh yeah, I get that. Or, a lot of times you go, yeah, you know what happened to me? Right away you're interjecting. And the whole purpose of that was for you to be present in what that person is sharing with you, rather than you already making this, thinking about what you're going to say to them. Because I think a lot of times we do that. We're like, oh yeah, I know what you mean. That happened to me too. And then you go off, blah, 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 blah. you know. So just stop, truly listen. And rather than, like you just said, going ahead and trying to figure things out for your friend, no, they are going through that process of figuring things out. It's that intuitive nature in us that we, a lot of times, we know what we need to do.
mm,
We're in a situation, difficult situation, or whatever it may be. We know what we want to do, and we just need a little bit of courage to make that decision, right?
yeah.
And then move forward. And it's
Mm-hmm.
that, I think we talked about this last week, or maybe I talked about it with somebody else, but it's that conscious and unconscious intention that you have, and which one are you giving it more power. And
Mm,
so basically, if you're going through something and you're like, man, I just don't know what to do, but you kind of do. So
mm-hmm.
I think part of it is just that, having to go through the process of listening to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
attention to what is it that you truly want. So, the more I try to do this, I think that that's the conclusion I've come to, that we all know what it is we need to do, when
Mm,
it comes to a certain situation. And it's just that, stop and listen to yourself, and that gut feeling, that intuition that we sometimes don't pay attention to. We want somebody
mm,
else to tell us what to do. So,
mhm.
but yeah, it's very, very challenging to do, and it takes practice. It really
Oh,
does.
it's
Yeah.
an art. It's a
Yes,
skill that
it is.
has to
Yeah.
get developed. Absolutely. Like you have, your surface level conversations. Like
Right.
we can have a conversation about the weather
Hmm.
or just exchange information about like, and those are great conversations too. Don't get me wrong. When you just kind of flowing and kind of like, I love the conversations. And I think you too, Maria, where we like talk and then like this other thing arises and then you talk about that. Like those conversations are great, right? Like that's just like a flowing conversation. Like
Right.
I went to one was it a retreat, a conference where they called it just riding the plane or flying the plane. That's
Mhm.
it. That's all we do in that conversation. We fly the plane, right? Like just enjoy it. I love those. Those give me life. But then there's conversations, and I think what would really help, and sometimes we have to do this when we need to meet with someone's like, I just need you to listen to me. That's
Mhm.
it. Can you do that for me? Right. And then that can set the tone for the conversation with whoever you're having. um
Mhm.
we have Nar said that this was one of the first lessons of
Mhm.
motherhood. No mom needs every single mom she knows giving her advice. That in itself can be overwhelming. Yeah, for sure. Just listening to how overwhelming everything is good enough sometimes. When I need to vent and I'm venting to a friend, I now start the conversation by saying, just need to vent. Well, what do you think about this? Realize needing to do this for other people. Yeah, I mean, just being there, and
Mhm.
you know, the whole, even like sometimes trying to give advice can come off as toxic positivity,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And sometimes people that do have these trauma responses, and they're struggling, sometimes they don't even want to hear that, right? Like, shut up, right? So sometimes even being careful with like the way that we respond, like you were saying earlier, Maria, like, don't come off judgmental. You don't have to be like everything's gonna be all right. Sometimes the reality is shit might not go right.
Mhm.
It might be terrible.
Yeah.
So instead of saying like, yeah, it's all peaches and cream, you'll make it, and we can get, instead saying, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
You're a strong, resilient woman. I know it's difficult. I'm here for you, whatever you need. Those can be very powerful comments, right? Versus saying like, sometimes it's hard, but we have to remember like people are human,
Mhm.
and not everyone responds the same way as we might respond.
Right.
Um, Nara said, those are the best. I think she's talking about like the flying the airplane,
Yeah.
having those fun
Mhm.
conversations. Yeah. Um, Mary said, very important to relate that to spouses. Yeah, definitely. This is an important one. Spouses always want to fix things. Sometimes you gotta be like, shut up. I don't need that comment. But and maybe, I don't know, Maria, what do you think? But I think sometimes men's minds operate in a total different
Oh, yes.
way, right?
Mhm.
So they're trying to give you like, well, I'm Mr. Fixer Upper, right? I'm gonna give you a
Yeah.
solution,
Yeah.
and you're more like, shut it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that solution. Like, well, why didn't you do that? Like, really?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Definitely male and female brains are very much opposites or totally different. Yeah. No. And
Yeah.
it's taken me a long time to realize that. I have two boys and a daughter. So yeah, I always have to deal with them as well in a different way. So because they just see things differently, they think a different way. It's very interesting.
Oh, how exciting. I can't wait to
Mhm.
see my children as adults.
Oh, you will.
Right now, right now it's
Enjoy
all
them.
fun.
Yes,
Well,
exactly. Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
well, the teenagers one thing, right? But like the
Yeah.
little ones, they're still just like, they
Yes.
come and hug you and
Yes.
kiss you, and then
Yeah.
I'm just like going through a whole different episode right now. So,
Yes. Yes.
um, we have Nara said, God bless their hearts for that. Great for when we need a fixer. Yeah, it is when we do need a fixer
Yes.
for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
So this is a great conversation. I know we've reached 8:30. Do you have any final words, Maria, that you wanted to share as we're wrapping up the conversation?
No, I really enjoyed being here. I love these topics that we come to the table with, and that you guys are open to also share with us. So yeah, no, I'm really I always have a great time here. So, so
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know you love it, Maria. I love it too.
fun.
Your girls are going to be great adults.
Yeah,
Thank you
they
so
are.
much
Yes.
for the encouragement. Because sometimes you're like, "Am I doing this right?"
Hmm. Yeah.
But But I think, Maria, you're a great co-host because you bring these topics of awareness, and I like that you bring your yoga background into the
Mhm.
conversation, life experience, right?
Mhm.
Which is also powerful, and you see things, you bring things. I love the fact that you read books. Like, I love the fact that you love reading books. Like, and I think a lot of our women in our community love books. So you're our community. If you love books, you're in our
Yes,
you
yes,
vibe with us totally.
yes, yes.
So yeah, so thank you everyone for watching. Just a friendly reminder, right? We're gonna keep saying Wise Retreat
Mhm.
September 10th through 12th. I'll be putting up hopefully by the end of this week the information on that. We do have our partner cafeama.com. I forgot to say what the heck I was drinking. So I was drinking I forgot the Puerto Rico coffee. Um so they are our coffee sponsor, so this coffee is amazing. Reach out to them. They have entrepreneurship programs for women and children in Puerto Rico, and all the proceeds go to funding that, which is great, right? So use the code WISE and they should get 20% off on the coffee. And no joke, coffee's like crack. So and what I mean by that is it's really strong, good coffee.
I
Really,
love that you say that.
you
Um,
know. Well, if Maria, we had an event at Ponce restaurant, right? And Maricel, she actually went ahead and made the coffee for us. Like, kind of like, let me surprise them. Let me have coffee, because she had some coffee too. And when I was drinking it, I literally looked over at one of the members. I said, "Am I high?" And she's like, "Are you high?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like,
oh my
do
god.
I feel high? Like, in that, like, high, like I just felt like I'm on cloud nine. Like, I felt very light. I felt almost like I was like, "What is going on after drinking this coffee?" So it definitely pepped me up, no doubt about it.
Okay. Maybe they spiked.
It definitely felt, or they spiked my coffee. I don't know. They could have thrown something in there, and I was like, "What's going on here?"
Oh my gosh.
Um, but yeah, so everyone that's watching, just we wanted to share the information. You can definitely go on our website, womenselfdevelopment.org. We have a free Facebook community called the Wise Women Support Group. We have our exclusive membership group. And if you have any questions, just feel free to email me, womenselfdevelopment@gmail.com. We're going to be putting more events together. Maria just did her mentor moments last Wednesday. Um, so check that video out, because she was able to talk about something that she personally went through, and it was a
Mhm.
good video, and that's in our free community. And she'll be going live with another mentor every other week.
Mhm.
So just great content in there. So I'm super excited about this. Nora said, "Oh my God, I'm going today to get that coffee." Yeah, it's good coffee. So, and again, thank you for watching. For the loyal viewers, we appreciate you being on here every Monday morning. You guys are awesome. And if you have any topics you want us to talk
Yeah,
about,
for sure.
let us know. We're always open to different conversations, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
All right. Great.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye. God bless you guys.